Good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital Nightly Weekend Strategy Report for Friday, May 19th, 2023. We start, as always, with Alcoa. And everything here is on the 30-minute chart. This is the 5-day box right here, the blue. The darker unshaded blue is the 10-day. The 1-day box is indicated right there. Red boxes are standard size risk. Here's our MACD 4 seasons. Last trade was we cut the COTA 2. Second day in a row, no trade on Alcoa. AI, we cashed two really good expansive trades here. And then it never broke through for the COTA 2, but it did give us an owl entry to the downside, and I took a 2R win and flat for the weekend on that one. I'll be stalking that for the upside, because that's going to look really good on like weekly charts or 3-day chart. That's going to look really good. Yeah, that looks really good on a 3-day. So I think that's going to get some attention. There'll be a lot more buying pressure back on that. For sure. Back to the 30-minute. Caterpillar was an enormous gap up from this rising COTA 2, which closed here, then opened here. It peaked and then started dropping like a stone. So we put the standard short on it. And this thing sold straight off to here, to the PSAR. It started to recover and just took the exit right there at the edge of the river for about 3R. Just a nice little 3R gift on the Anderson regression line cross. Or the Anderson regression line stretch. That's pattern number 7 in first generation RLCO. All right, so this is Cliff. So our effort on the COTA 2 yesterday failed, and then it closed really well. And then today it gapped up and then started selling off. So put the standard risk on it. Cash the win right at the edge of the dragon, going into the close for 3R. Just nice, clean closure and no over the weekend risk. Took the opportunity to cash the COTA 2 from yesterday in CVS, which peaked and then rolled over and just took the exit at the edge of the dragon. There's a recurring theme there, and that's 2R. Dish Networks was a scratch from yesterday's COTA 2. Devon Energy, yesterday's COTA 2 entry, which closed nicely, gapped up, and then finished pretty strong for the whole day. And so we're going to hold that one with +3 because it has cleared this, and I think there's room to get to the 10-day. So we'll keep that one. EA cashed yesterday's COTA 2 in the general sell-off today, missed a short. Emerging Markets was a scratch from yesterday. We scratched out on ETHE's COTA 2 from 2 days ago. It just went nowhere. Mexico, beauty. Oh. So this was yesterday's COTA 2. Actually, that's an SSC. Holding support right here. And it closed here. And today it rolled all the way up into here. It rolled over, and I gave it all the way through to the edge of the dragon. But when it crossed the dragon, we cashed 1. And then it fell like a stone through the support level. And when that happens, what do we call that? Yes, a collapsing dragon. And only got one position on it, but you know what? 2, 3, 4, plus 4. So that was a plus 5 day today. And all this thing did was trade from, in the last few days, from the 10-day high to the 10-day low. And because we are at a support level, which saw that kind of a move, why do I want to take an over the weekend risk? I don't. So we'll just take 5 and be flat. Brazil, scratch from yesterday. Intel started off with a emerging dragon and scratched. IP, no trade, although we missed a COTA 2 in both directions. IYR, no trade. KRE, yesterday's COTA 2 near the 10-day high just started failing today. There was no buying pressure, so we're out. At the end of the day, initiated in marijuana, in McDonald's. The SSC worked, and then this became a COTA 2 near the end of the day, and it just felt like, maybe McDonald's is ready. So we'll give that a try. I like the fact that it was summer, fall, and then summer north of an expanding Red River. This is an indication of a really strong move in the Red River, and the fact that we are up and still going says there's more room in it. Merck, no trade. Marijuana initiated the short on this is like a double top that just failed. PSAR flip, RLXD closed here, and that's holding +1. And I think this is in range on Monday. Clean energy, we took the COTA 2 to the short side. Again, so you got a high, a low. It peaked early with a gap up to here and then sold off hard. And then there's your standard 30-minute risk box. And you know what? I just like taking that one for +2. And there's the support level that wouldn't be surprising to find support there next week. So take 2 and chill. Rivian was a gift from yesterday's PSAR flip, which I treated as a COTA 2, you will recall yesterday, held my nose. And it ran all the way up to here and then fell back. This is basically keeping 1. That is like a when you come over and look at the support or the resistance level here, that's not very surprising. So you got to be able to cash a gift when it's trying to give you a sandwich, it's trying to give you a gift there. The S&P is just quietly, it made a new 10-day and 30-day high today. It broached above 420, and we've been talking about that price level for a while. It peaked, then came back and held fairly strong at 418.5, well above yesterday's high. So that actually bodes pretty well for next week. Treasuries, no trade, missed the short on that one. Tesla, that one worked. I missed the second entry on it, but that's okay. So we're holding +2, and this has cleared that previous resistance, made new 10-day high, and then started to resume. I really think that one's in position to go. Let's take a look at that just for a minute. 3-day. Yeah, that's got COTA 2 written all over it. And the 9-day stabilized, and you got an owl entry on that one today. Yeah, I like Tesla a lot. It would behoove you. Let's see, U.S. Steel. What do we have on this one? Yeah, this was yesterday's emerging dragon and caught a 2 entry because the PSAR held. And today it ran all the way up to here where it opened and then dropped like a stone. That's a 1, 2, 3 exit, cashing 1 but giving back 2. So not very efficient, but the 1, 2, 3 entry, we'll take +1 on an overnight gift. Nothing wrong with that. So not much risk over the weekend. I'm liking that. This is from a visualization project that I'm working on. This is the prompt on this one is the trail-weary shaman humanoid badger warrior king pausing at twilight for a refreshing drink of water prior to meditation to prepare for tomorrow's existential fight against the forces of evil. He's confident, humble, prepared, and determined. So that's our little visualization. Yeah, I like him a lot. This one was one visualizing the samurai contemplating the path to the mountaintop on his individual journey of excellence. So I just created a course today on Patreon. It's live. It's normally going to go for $297. It's 20 lessons in a home study course that expands on 20 of the trading metaphors that I personally use over the last 40 years to organize my thinking and my feeling and my actions to be aligned to my purpose and vision and mission, and I'm liking it. It's on sale to early adopters for $97. It's self-paced. I could see it growing into becoming a coaching course later, but the home study course is pretty sufficient. And those of you in the Owl Wisdom Project will have access to that one for life. Anyway, you don't got to pay for that one separate. But if you're not in the Wisdom Project, but you'd like that, you can do that. Yeah, this one was supposed to be a badger, but I think it gave me variations. It has some elements of Wolverine or even more like a wolf head. So the lower left is the most badgerish looking of all. The two on the left are badger. This one up in here is looking a little more raccoon badger mix. But yeah, the AI wants to do what it wants to do. That is part of a totem animal visualization project that's going to feature 100 totem animals and their inspiring visions and some Aesop's fables about how the spirit animal can support your visioning. Cleared that project with Mike Three Bears for purpose and intent, so I get the green light from him to do it. All right, so this is the 3-minute charts. This is the sniper trade of the day. This one is in Cliff. Here was the close. Here was the gap up to the top of the day. Let me zoom in on that a little better. Yeah, Dan, I thought I was going to have trouble writing 500,000 words a month with the koala. I got it all done for last month, and I've already used 40% of the words in written 200,000 words in the last 3 days. So I'm finding my stride on how to structure those writing projects for the project. Yeah, so this is Cliff on 3 minutes. Oh, and Dan, for the founders, if you use the Koala Chat account that Steven sent you, and you just put a /dream space and then write your prompt, and that's in Koala Chat. It'll generate the AI imagery for you. It's not too bad. It's not quite as good as Mid Journey, although I'm still experimenting with how to do that prompting. But it was pretty good, and that's you got 1,000 messages a month to work with, so no need to pay for an account elsewhere. You've already got that. Okay. All right. So this is Cliff on 3 minutes, and this was the close. And it gapped up all the way to here, sold off down to here, and that established the the OR3. The next bar it broke down, so we're betting that way. If the PSAR value here breaks, I'm going to treat that like as a CD. And so that's really the first test in the checkpoint. And I should be able to get my stop from here down into here in order to lock in no lose plus dinner for 2. That's the standard template right there. That is standard work. That's just a template. You know how to cut a bowl. You know, that's bowl number 1. Right there. That's how you do it. Standard work. Missed the second entry and just took the regular exit at the PSAR because why not? You know? You could even just kind of follow that all the way down and just take that. I think if you were going to accelerate that, what you'd look at is where it bottoms out here, and then take the exit at either one of those locations where it hits the edge of the dragon. It's not much different than the PSAR, but what it does is it preserves that extra piece, because when the that accelerated exit is being taken here, the PSAR is not available until there. So conceivably, that would protect you from some kind of, adverse move that way. It turns out it didn't do that because it tried to roll over again, but then it couldn't. And by this time, the PSAR had caught up. So that's where the exit hits. But that's a pretty good exit there too, because that's going to give you 1, 2R anyway. If this had violated, what would we call an entry if instead of exiting here, if this had rolled over, that's a 2R battle drill, and this would also be a collapsing dragon to the downside, right? So standard work. Caught a 2. No, actually not. From yesterday's nice gain, it's caught a 2, but for today, that's really an SSC. And that's a failed SSC. So as soon as the RL crosses the dragon, I'm short before it becomes a collapsing dragon, right? Because the thing is right here. This is the threshold. And again, I want you to notice, mathematically, the peak, that little V, but the RL10 is nice because it makes V bottoms, and there's no doubt that that is exactly the price that it turned at. And because of math, that's exactly where the PSAR flips to. And this is the collapsing dragon level. So since this is the local high, and this is where the RL10 crosses the dragon, that becomes an RLXD, regression line crossing the dragon. Any exit that is south of the dragon, or any entry, I should say, that is south of the dragon but north of the collapsing dragon symbol, this is also the pocket right in here. And what we're doing is we're getting a kata 2 to the downside because we have a high, a low, a lower high, and the dragon is rolled over. So this is, we think of that as a kata 2. It's this. So once that starts to roll over, any entry in here is going to be a kata 2, and any entry below that is going to be a collapsing dragon because it's below that key price level. And what makes this work is the fact that you got a high, a lower high. And what's especially good is that the move to here was so small. It didn't even last. It's even less than 1R. The fact that it rolled over fast now means that you're entitled to believe that the size of this move is going to be the size of that move. So that makes this prime candidate for a stop and reverse, because this one is supposed to work. It's supposed to get back to here and beyond where we can add second position, but it didn't. It couldn't even get out of the tactical zone and started to fail, so that makes it an easy one, especially when you see the size of that move. So there's a lot of things going on in there. So this one takes about minus 0.3, and then you just put the standard risk box on it, and you're short. And that one doesn't work, so that basically scratches. And that's a stop and reverse. And that one fails, so I stop and reverse again. And that's why, because they all look the same leaving the station. And standard exit. So if we said this one was a minus 0.3, and that one's minus 0.2, and this one is minus 0.5, that whole series right there is about minus 1. And this one is about 1.5. So we've got two legs down, so I don't stop and reverse. That one is a fractional loss, stops and reverses. So this is not really cooperating much. But, you know, that's what happens in the lunchtime. That one gives us about +1, and that's enough for the day. So, you know, it was a journeyman's work today. We didn't cut our own fingers off. That's Always a good day at work. And our total is something like +2, and then we said these three, no, those two, no, those three were -1, and this one is 1.5, and then this one is -0.3, that one is about +1. So you get 2, 3.5, 4.5, -1.5. So that's about a net 3 for the day on a journeyman-like trade. Check or hold? All right, let's look at the traders today. Here's Constantine. The gold dollar on the twos, his standard work. He took the long with the start of the Powell conference. Why? Because of reasons. And he gets the breakout here. And on the rollover, right near the previous resistance, brings home 6 in about 90 minutes at the most. This is Damien. Leg 1, leg 2 starts failing, fails down through the PSAR, takes a -1. A little late getting in. This is where the indication would be. A little late for -0.2, so he's now at -1.2. Takes the flip just like he's supposed to. Makes +4. And then makes, or no, plus 0.4, I should say, and then 1.75 in the usual way. There was a trade here and a trade there, but he brings home 2R for the day. Nice and relaxed and in good shape. Agnieszka, 5-minute DAX. Tries to short, stays with her convictions, takes a second position on like a internal collapsing dragon, if you will, and then nets 3.2. Take that. Let's see. I like this short. I might have just gotten out in here anyway because it's supposed to fail to here and then a second leg down, but it didn't. There's no reason to get out of it there, but when it does break out of that, that's your stop and reverse. Or this one on the Z3 pinch breakout, that's where you get in. Or here, if you need to see a 1, 2, 3, new high of the day, and there's a COTA 2, so we should be crushing this. And then I would just note there's a tradable move there off the bottom of the channel instead of the absolute mathematical middle of the channel. the middle of the Crocodile River. When you have a Z3 pinch, the breakout from that is the signal, and if this is where the start of the day was, that's a signal to go long and cut it here. I would try that one and probably exit here. I'd re-enter here on the collapsing dragon. I'd probably go long with that one and scratch and go long again and get paid a micro. This is more like it. Really tight pinch. -1 stops and reverses. Second position, exit. This is the continuation pattern, and that would get you paid, especially on that little bit of a risk. That was actually almost 4R excursion. This is a pretty good re-entry this way. I'd like maybe 1 bar late. Maybe we should be out here instead of there. And then here's your Z3 super pinch. So all you do when it's super pinched like that is you just go to the Z3 lines and you say, look, here or here. Either here or here and then you play that breakout, or you play this breakout or that breakout. Abnormal quietude, that abnormal compression gets you paid. And here's a good example of that. This is in DIA. This is Brian bringing home 5 today. So he sees the super pinch, and he gets the break. He waits for this to break, so he gets that one. He tries the second one, quick cut, and then instantly collapsing dragon smashes that. And you even have this one. I might have tried a second position right here, because at this point you're already +3, so you've got market's money for this one, and then you'd pick up an extra one there. But that's pretty good work for 5R on that one. Nice kata 2. I like the second position, leaving the river, quick cut, quick re-entry, got paid. Nice. But we are just in the middle. We are just in the middle of Crocodile River in all of this. I mean, that whole thing is right inside the middle of the river. That's just getting chewed up forever. You've got to see, from like a pinch, you've got to see a harsh winter to know that it is in play with an abnormal amount of volume. Then when that turns over, tentatively, now you can put your risk box on that and play for a resume to the previous level where you've got 2R. That's the pattern. You've got to see the harsh winter. We're not really seeing harsh winters in here. So let's see if we can zoom in and do a little triage here. I'm saying that's probably a continuation pattern. Good quick cut. You know, the if you're going to do a PSAR flip, that should not lose money. And then this is a couple bars late. This should be entering like right about here instead of here. And then when this doesn't work, scratch that instead of waiting for a full loss. That's a good quick exit. Quick exit. This is slow getting in because now you feel like, hey, I just lost 1, 2, 3 in a row. So you're waiting for confirmation. And so then instead of taking it where you would normally take it, this was late and now there's almost nothing. And now you're just over trading. You're just taking every crossing of the dragon in the middle of the river. And 2 losing trades in a row, wait 30 minutes. Take a walk, go look at other things, find the movers. This thing is not moving. This is the first place right here where you've got a long Z3 pinch, and here's your risk box. And even that never gets out of the Z3. So this was just a desire to trade and just throw in money. I like this one as a Kata 2. I love the exit for a scratch. I don't mind that you didn't take the PSAR flip right away, although I would have been happy. But I treat that one as a collapsing dragon, and that's fine. Now, I like this. It was this far in your favor, and then it rebounded, so you captured the no-lose plus dinner for 2, and that's fine. But then when that doesn't even get into the dragon and rolls over, this is your re-entry right there. And then you smash this and you exit probably on a 1, 2, 3, like right here. After the R10 rolls over, and then you make bank, there's your trade. And on a standard risk of that much, you're probably 1, 2, 3. I like this one short, except it should be here when it PSAR flips and not down here. That is a full 1R. You know, these are all standard risks. You waited an extra R, and that was the difference between losing an R and scratching. And then we waited another whole R for it to get past the PSAR flip, and now we entered here. Whereas this one should have been a scratch and a short, it turned into a minus 0.7. So you're over trading, you are not in the zero state, and you need to concentrate on fewer patterns with ruthless execution. EWZ, Brazil. Well, so we're missing the signals because your span of control. There's the PSAR flip. That's where the short should be. Or here, because that's the collapsing dragon. But we're not even getting short until here. No, I'm sorry. We got long here on the OR3. I see. I like that short and a quick cut. That's a better entry because now you got it right as it crosses. This is good. Now your re-entry should be here instead of here. And then that wins. I like this short. That's a good quick cut. I'd probably try that one long. Probably lose, and then I'd try it long here instead of here. You're waiting for a full risk box off the low when you should be taking it here and then have your whole risk box this way. So if it does exit here, you're only taking a 0.5 loss, and instead of waiting for confirmation, you're capturing that move, and then this is a good exit. This is Kyun on NVIDIA on 3 minutes. bringing home 7. Found the mover. Strongest stock in the strongest sector on an up day and no resistance overhead. So here's where it closed. Here was the gap up and OR3. Second position, so he gets paid. Caught a 2 re-entry, perfectly placed. Tight risk. It doesn't work immediately, so he scratches and then re-enters immediately when it doesn't fail. And now it's on the way. This could have been a second position because you've got a 2R battle drill. It has cleared the previous emerging dragon peak, and it is clearly working. Look at this. That is the Bollinger Band of the river. Knowing the trade location was important, he says. NVIDIA had cleared resistance going back to the start of the year. It had clear skies to an all-time high at 335 and 340. In other words, this is only trading at 312. This thing can go to 340, which is another plus 10%. Or another $30 higher. So that's pretty good shooting. All right, weekend reports. All right, so bullish quiet. This is that's as strong as we've seen. It made a new 150-day high today. So that's a positive vote up. This is still the only warning that it's flashing to us, but this is green bullish and starting to better. And ADX went below the crucial level of 15 into non-trending. And then came back above 15, which is the start of trending, and it was a bullish move. So this could be the beginning of a bullish move. The only thing that hasn't moved along is the volatility. Still at 60% exposure. This is holding pretty good symbols right now. Those are still the things that are crushing the market. The RLFF daily, there's a lot of really good signs on this one. Like the previous peak of the RL10. We just breached that. You have Kata 2s galore. You have the RL90. Let's just start with 270. You have the RL270 strongly shaping up. This is where that whole thing bottomed out, and the downward slope of the 270 got sideways in here. And this, on that little structure and that Kata 2, that was enough to give it the upward tilt. And then the rest of this is pulling the RL270. That's the long-term healing higher. Probably lasts until about 3 months before the election in 2024. So we got about another year for this thing to unwind and recover before the political shenanigans shut everything down. All right, next is the RL90, which also bottomed out at about the same time the 270 did, and that gave us one good strong leg up, a temporary pullback to here, and now it is looking pretty good. The RL90 is in good shape. The RL30, the owl, We're just going to darken this up so we can see him. This is where the owl turns. That was a really strong signal for an up move. And now it has peaked right here. But notice that instead of the RL30 at this point collapsing to come back to here, as you would be entitled to believe it could, it has reversed to the upside. That's another owl. That little last 2 days has been a really strong signal to the upside that it is holding right there. And notice that you have a summer, fall, summer, and the summer just started. So that is some good stuff. The 3-day, 9-day, so this, all that is very strong. That channel is pointing up. The fact that you got that little bump is good. The next limit is here, 430. And this is in the summer, fall, summer. That's all good. The 9 bar, every time that thing makes a PSAR flip, you should pay attention. The last one happened here, and this is where the owl turned. And notice how strong the PSAR has been. And that's done nothing but get better. And this is where it's in the summer. And this is where it was in the fall. That 9-day is loving this. And now the peak is like 470. So this is good. This is really good. The longer term you look, the better it looks. The 150. Remember, that's 30 times 5-day weeks. And here's your 10-day. Here's your 5-day. Here's your 30-day. And here's your 150-day. And it made new 150-day high today. That's as strong as you want. It's well above this peak. All that is good. Where does that collapse? Well, we'll take a look at the 30-day next. Yeah, these last 3 days, yeah, this gave back a little bit, but not much. This is down 15% from all-time high, up around 470-ish. Where do you got to put your stops? Well, I think you got to lock that in. There is the skin of the dragon, spine of the dragon, belly of the dragon, or lower skin of the dragon. Here's the dragon itself, along with this R10, then this one, and then the 30-day low. So I think I can't let it go below this. So to me, about 415, which is about a 1% stop. That's how much. Here's the price. That's the risk box you must honor. You could argue that the 1-day low, but you really got to protect that. Because that's the marker where that upward move fails, and then it's back into this. Sideways chop of the last 30 days, right? So if that line right there fails at 415, then it's done. So this is your speculative move up in here. That's like the last 2 days. And that gives a promise of some upside move. That's the hypothesis. But this is a strict protection. If it crosses that line, then everything that you've invested in that is done. And then you're back into guarding. All right. BMRs. Those are the things that we're holding in the blended monthly. That's pretty good performance. Because your alternative in the mid caps and real estate and small caps and the diamonds, look at the difference that just knowing the broad asset classes makes in terms of what we're holding. And then if you add the S&P Tech and then the XL series, it just gets better. ETF 32, again, you just see the dominance of the techs. And that leads me to, Kyun's trade on NVIDIA. Chip leader. Who's crushing it? Microsoft and Apple. Old school conventional tech. That's sort of the XLK symbols of the world. Intel and Cisco. That's also the XLKs of the world. IBM's got some room to catch up, but that's an XLK. The winner in, the finance space, JP Morgan made some recovery. Better than Goldman Sachs. JP Morgan is the finance winner. I'm still fond of McDonald's, even though that didn't help. This is still pretty good. Not giving up on him and Merck yet. That's why they're still on the swings. Globals. 3 out of the 4 in the green is Euro-Asia, Japan, and the European 350. And then inside the U.S., which is these 4, it's clearly tech. So the NASDAQ and all of the Euros. And Mexico crushing the emerging markets. This is IEV. So green and white in strength and consistency is this. Was good, now great. Chile. S&P growth. But otherwise, this is just solid leadership right here. That's growth and tech, euros. Not surprising. Shorter term volatility traders that are working. good targets here are things that are the 30 most liquid ETFs, and then the ones that have the most volatility compared to that peer group are energy, regional banks, gold miners, oil exploration, Brazil, and biotechs. Let's see who's in the bottom feeders here. Not a surprise there. Yeah, that's all financials. All right, shifting to the daily. Lots of auto framers. Strength in Cisco, IBM, Tesla. Those are the breakouts. Just a handful of auto framers that still offer good reward to risk to the highs of the 10-day high. The only breakout was a weak side, treasuries getting weak. That's rolling into equities now. Standard work on the auto framer. Today's range was large enough that there was only a few squeezes. But notice, Microsoft and tech are the two squeezes. Boy, let's pile on those next week. I can't believe I don't have Microsoft in the swing portfolio, but I got those dogs like real estate and international paper. I got to slap myself awake on that. Dangnabbit. And NVIDIA, too. So I got to pull those two out and put NVIDIA and Microsoft in there. What am I doing? Dummy. No Godzillas in the ETFs, just PayPal in the tactical set. VFC and DE are enraged Godzillas and moving, and a lot of stealthy ones still in the S&P 500. That's a Godzilla, enraged, and the biggest mover of the day. These are both smashed on the 30-day and 10-day and enraged volatility. VFC happens to also be a Godzilla. Ulta is not. Standard work here in the auto framer from TC2000 bundle. Tesla, big strong move today. And now you got your Intel and Texas Instruments in the chip space. NVIDIA underperformed today. All three of the metals were weak. And the S&P outperformed most of the indexes except for emerging markets. So the S&P continues to grind. Can't hide the winners. Microsoft, Apple, JP Morgan, Tesla, Cisco. U.S. large caps, tech, Euro-Asia, Japan, I should say, and then Euro-Asia, and the European 350. That's everything you need to know. Right there. I mean, that chart right there. The best intraday traders offer large average daily range percentages. So that's the intraday volatility and strong consistency of that volatility. So these three, for example, clean energy, NVIDIA, and metals. Why don't I have NVIDIA in the swing trade portfolio? For crying out loud. It's dumb. All right. All right, that's everything we got for today. Let's see if there's anything I want to look at. That's not quite everything. Let's the z-scores of the three regression line slopes. That 30-period regression line z-score, that is really strong right there. They are all getting ready to make a run to the upside. Watch the next 2 days next week. When this thing closed so well and it is above this level, watch that thing go hard for the next 2 days. Mark my words. 430 could be in play next week. That's a prediction, and predictions are always wrong. But I'm liking that. Yeah, this is how strong the techs are over the last 40 days. The Qs have a z-score of 0.46, and the market is only 0.13. XLK is at 0.4. That's all looking pretty good. And then on the 5-day, the techs, z-score of 1.13. That's really good compared to 0.64. So the techs are just crushing it on every time dimension. Yeah, that's really strong. And the S&P tech is better than the NASDAQ tech on the 10-day and the 5-day. Yeah, XLK. S&P tech. That's where the money is right now. XLK. All right, that's everything we got. We'll get this published and posted, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. No live session tomorrow night. We got another soccer match on Saturday, so I'm going to record the session later. If you get your stuff posted early, I may be able to record it in the afternoon, but otherwise it'll be a late one tomorrow night. Story Circle in the morning, Story Circle and Creativity on Sunday morning as well. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.